We're going to get into the 5th chapter in the John Rambo saga. Let's do it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. And the film I'm talking about is Rambo Last Blood. I saw this back in September 2019 in the theaters when it came out. And I thoroughly enjoyed the theatrical cut. But the theatrical cut mostly came off as a hard R action revenge exploitation film with John Rambo in it. It didn't feel as much like a Rambo film. I had a fun time with it, and it's definitely hard R, and there's some really cool action in it, but it just didn't feel like a Rambo film. That version of the film was an hour and 29 minutes long. This version of the film, the extended cut, is an hour and 39 minutes long, so they added 10 more minutes back into the film. The film had a $50 million budget. Upon release in the U.S., it made 44, and worldwide it made 91, so it did make some money. And with the last Rambo that came out in 2008, which is a kick-ass film, if you've never seen that one, check it out. I love that film. Sylvester Stallone directed that himself. This movie was directed by Adrian Grunberg. Adrian Grunberg directed a cool little crime film called Get the Gringo with Mel Gibson starring in it. If you've never seen it, check it out. It's a pretty cool little film, and Mel Gibson's fantastic in it, and he does a nice job directing that film. It was on Netflix. I don't know if it still is, but if you've never seen that film, check it out. Obviously, in this movie, we have Sylvester Stallone as John Rambo and Paz Vega as Carmen. Those are only two actors. There's other actors, and all the actors do fine, but those are the only two actors I'm going to list here. And with this version of the film, it adds way more context to a lot of things. Now, we get a prologue in this version of the film with Rambo out in this rainstorm in Arizona trying to help the authorities find these 3 hikers that are trapped somewhere. They're trying to get them out before the flooding starts because monsoon season. And Rambo comes upon 2 of them, and he's only able to get 1 out alive. And this affects him. Everybody's congratulating him, thanking him for his help, and he can't handle that he couldn't save them. And this goes back to his psychological profile, where Rambo's still suffering with thoughts of Nam, and anything he can't control, he still blames himself for not being able to save his platoon mates in Nam when they were killed, and he blames himself for not being able to save these other 2 hikers, even though he did everything he obviously could. And then we also get to learn more about his little family unit at his farm. There's this woman who we get to learn in this version, in the theatrical we didn't, where she's been on this farm for a long time. She used to work for his father. His father has since passed away. If you remember at the end of the 2018 Rambo, or John Rambo was known as the extended cut of the version of that film, at the end of the film it shows Rambo walking towards this ranch, his family ranch. Well, in this film we find out that she used to work with his father, and he has since passed away, so now it's John Rambo's farm, and that they're definitely like a family. And her niece, Gabriella, is like John Rambo's daughter. He treats her like a daughter. He tries to protect her like a daughter. And it's really sweet, their interactions. And she likes to ride horses, and so does he. He's raising horses on this ranch. And they even have a conversation about, what it was like for John Rambo. Did he know what he wanted to be when he grew up? He goes, I wanted to be a soldier ever since before I was even 18. I wanted to serve. And I did. But I've seen some things, and sometimes I wish I wouldn't have done it, he even says at one point. But, and she goes, well, you're a really good man. He goes, I try to be every day, and I keep a lid on it, but, I'm not a good man. He doesn't consider himself a good man, and for all the things he's done through his life. And she's going to be going off to college soon, and then to fast forward a little bit, she finds out from a girl she used to be friends with who lives in Mexico now, calls her and tells her that she found her father. Her father had abandoned her and her mother when she was young. And she always had in her mind that if she ever got a chance to meet her father, she would, so she could ask him why he left them. And she tells Rambo that she wants to go down there. He goes, I wouldn't recommend that. It's a dangerous place. Mexico, in those areas where you're going, it's not safe. And your father is not a good man. But kids being kids, she wants to go. And even her aunt says, this man, speaking of Rambo, is more of a father than he ever was. He's been more of a father the last 8 years than that man ever will be. He cares about you. He loves you. You should listen to him. And obviously, as a kid, she goes. And when she gets there, she meets up with her friend who seems sketchy right from the get-go, and she takes him to her father. She does do that. She does not get the answers she wants. She leaves crying because her father is definitely a scumbag. And then her friend takes her to this club. And this is where we get to meet the syndicate that turns women, kidnaps them, and turns them into prostitutes. And she gets taken. And we meet these Martinez brothers who run this sex trafficking ring. And basically they kidnap women and turn them into prostitutes in this basically whorehouse that they have going on. And that's their deal. They have this whole little gang unit down there, and they're running this prostitution ring. And Rambo finds out what happens. He goes down there, and he's taking these pills, I think, to keep him calm, and he just throws them. He's like, you could tell the rage is building inside of him. And he confronts her friend, has her take her to the club, and he finds out where these guys are, and he goes to confront them. Unfortunately, they know he's coming, and they kick the shit out of him. This is where Paz Vega comes in. She sees him at this club, and she follows him, and after he gets the shit kicked out and they let him live, they scar his face, and she takes Rambo in and helps nurse him back to health. And once he's back to health, he does Rambo shit, and he goes and unleashes hell on these guys at this whorehouse and gets Gabriella out. Now, since then, they've been keeping Gabriella hooked on heroin. So he's driving back home to Arizona to his ranch, and in a sad scene, she passes away in the passenger seat as he's talking to her, trying to keep her awake. And this is when hell gets unleashed. Rambo hatches a plan. He sets all these booby traps around his farm, which are really coolly laid out in the way they work, and the way he's going to basically guerrilla warfare these assholes into death. And he goes back down there, kills the one brother, sends a message, and they come up, the other brother, the main brother, comes up with a bunch of dudes, and they raid his farm, and Rambo unleashes hell for the last 10-15 minutes of the film. It's one long extended action sequence / slaughterhouse of a sequence, basically. And it's all very exciting, very well shot. I enjoyed it. I think even in the theatrical cut, there's less shaky cam. It's more, you could see more what's going on. And it's really well done sequence by far. But the extended cut gets right is it gives us more into Rambo's psychology at this point in his life. He thinks that on his property, within the fence line of his property, he can control everything. He can keep everybody safe. Outside, he does not trust anything. And he just thinks that way from his experiences from Nam, coming back to the U.S., not being accepted, going back to Nam to save POWs, and then going to Afghanistan. He even tells Gabrielle, I've seen the evil men can do, and it's not safe out there. And it's really well, it definitely fleshes the movie out more, and it gives it more of a Rambo feel, the extended version. And they even flesh out the bad guys a little bit more and their operation, how it works in Mexico. In the theatrical cut, they just kind of like, these are the bad guys, this is what they're doing, that's it. There's not much to it. And here it gives it a little bit more beats to these guys, so you know what they're about and what they're doing. And honestly, this movie, like the last Rambo, shines a spotlight on a problem in the world, sex trafficking. It's not just a Mexico problem, it's a worldwide problem. It doesn't do it in the most subtle ways, but it does point a spotlight on a problem that is going on. And it just makes sense that they picked Mexico because John Rambo's ranch is on the Arizona-Mexico border, and it does happen in Mexico, so they just picked that as a spot. It was just a logical step. And is this movie any good? Is this my favorite Rambo film? No, that would be First Blood. But I would give this film an 8 out of 10, the extended cut. The theatrical cut, I give a 7 out of 10. This version makes it more feel like a Rambo film. I give it an 8 out of 10 for Rambo Last Blood, the extended cut, which is available now. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Have you seen Rambo Last Blood? What are your thoughts on it? Leave a comment down below. Let me know what's your favorite Rambo film. Leave that comment down below as well. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. Have a great day. I'll be back with another review soon. Take care of one another, and I'll see you later. Bye.